be talking about marathon, but that will be after this report. Lagos City Marathon is going to be January 13, and everyone is February 13, and everyone is obviously waiting for that date. How do you organize a marathon in a pandemic, especially having a second wave in Nigeria at the moment? We'll be talking about this after this report.
At a standard of marathon all over the world, I think Nigeria, we are being rated probably now number 9 in the world because of our organization.
Nigeria is becoming a hub for marathon races in Africa. Unfortunately, no Nigerian has emerged overall winner in these competitions. From the Lagos City Marathon, Onitsha and now Kaduna Half Marathon, these events have been dominated by East Africans.
With a cash prize of $10,000.
Despite the dominance of the Kenyans and Ethiopians, Nigerian athletes have a major attraction that draws them to these marathons, with the organizers providing separate prize money as incentives for the top 10 men and women from Nigeria, a sign that homegrown elites do not expect to beat the East Africans. Research has shown that the major reason for the performance of Kenyans and Ethiopian athletes is the high-altitude environment in which they live, and this explains why the Sports Ministry is opening up training camps in areas with similar features in the country.
We have our camp that we're trying to put together in Jos, at Gembu and Penshing. If we get these athletes to train properly in these two camps, we'll be able to compete with our Eastern nations.
How can Nigerian runners stand out in these races and probably win one of these events? Mohammed Abbas is the national record holder. He sets the record for 2 hours, 16 points and 06 seconds at the full marathon in Lagos 30 years ago.
You see, the problem we have, some of our athletes, they are waiting for call. We have something, come and train. And even if you are there, you can't see them training well as you want them to perform.
Athletes from Plateau State have dominated marathons in Nigeria this year. Emmanuel Giang won the Lagos City Marathon and Kaduna Half Marathon.
My target is for me to have a medal for Nigeria in Olympic. Because this has started from now, I believe I can get a target. Because that is what I have been working for.
The joy of every athlete is to represent their country at the Olympics. With the Tokyo Games coming up in July next year, hopefully marathoners like Giang may fulfill his long desire to win and not just participate.
All right, we'll be talking about marathon. And, of course, Lagos City Marathon is coming up January 13 and all that. I mean, last year it was all about
February.
What will we say? January? Come on. February 13, right? Okay, we have Bukola Lokmade right here in the studio. Yeah, you heard the voice already.
Good morning, Cecilia. Good morning. Good morning, viewers. It's always a pleasure to be back home at Channels TV.
Thank you for coming. All right. I mean, you listen to this report talking about organizing marathon and all that. I mean, Nigeria is becoming like a hub right now for marathon runners and all that. The East Africans, they come here, they win and they go away and everything. Just quickly, how can we on our own try to kind of bridge the gap? Because, you know, it's very wide, it's massive. It's massive.
From inception, what we strategically did was to create a winning pool for Nigerian runners. The essence was to encourage Nigerian runners to dig in deep and see how we can tie aprons to that of the East Africans. But you would agree with me that world over, every road race is won by East Africans. But I'm encouraged. We have 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds now winning the Nigeria pool money and also narrowing the time gap between us and the East Africans. For us, as organizers of road races, we'll keep doing that. Not necessarily for Nigerians to tie their aprons to that of Eastern Africans, but also because when you look at this pandemic, for example, one of the things that you need to do to prevent, one of the non-pharmaceutical things you need to do to prevent catching this virus is for your body to be healthy, to be strong, for you to take walks, for you to run. And to that end, you see that we have more running clubs in Nigeria and Lagos, in particular, since the inception of the Lagos City Marathon.
Okay, so that's a plus, right?
Yeah, you got to stay active. I mean, that works very well. But it's still a pandemic, and we need to be very, very careful. And we're hearing there's a number of changes to these events for that reason, including a reduction in the in the total number of participants. Can you tell us more about that before we go on this break?
Thank you very much. For us, the first initiative was to be responsible. Don't forget, I'm a survivor of this very bad virus. Yeah. So we, in the last 7 months, I've gone through strategies to ensure that we adhere to the new World Athletics protocols, and also to ensure that we save lives and we do not make our event a super spreader event. The Access Bank Lagos City Marathon is a marathon that is heavily sponsored, and you must also cater for the respectability of the names of your sponsors in terms of their brands. And also, Nilayo, as a road race organizer, we want to ensure that we do not organize a race that will be a super spreader. So what have we done? We have reduced from 102,000 to 300 runners.
Wow.
300 runners, strictly elite runners, both Nigerian and foreign. And again, because it is the Olympic qualifier, our race is one of the very, very few races picked all over the world to be an Olympic qualifier for Tokyo 2021.
Okay, interesting. I mean, but we'll continue this discussion after this break. We still have Bukola Olokbade in the studio talking on Lagos City Marathon, which will be taking place February 13th. Okay. All right. Is it Saturday?
Got it right this time.
Got it right this time. January, I didn't know. Okay. I mean, you talked about the fact that the numbers of athletes have been reduced and all that. So you have
drastically.
Elite athletes are going to have like how many? 20? That's international.
International, about 80 of them.
Okay.
And again, part of the protocol is that they must arrive this country 7 days before, unlike the 2 days before. The 7 days before, they'll be quarantined. They'll be tested twice before race day. Okay. Those are part of the protocol we saw in London, Singapore, Tokyo, and even Shanghai will be running the same day as we are running with the same protocol. For us, our biggest joy is that just this morning, we got approval from the Federal Ministry of Sport through the Honourable Minister for Sports, and we also got the approval from the Lagos Safety Commission, who have both looked at all the protocols we've put in place and have said, yes, this race is good enough to go and not be a super spreader. The other thing we've added to it is a virtual race. Our tech guys are on the verge of completing the app that will ensure that thousands of people...
Lagos Women Run did that. Okay.
Right. I mean, good innovation. I remember having that discussion with Tayo in June that the way forward was, whether the pandemic was there or not, the way forward was always going to be virtual, getting thousands of people all over the world join your race. And I think Tayo did a good job applying that. So we're applying that, albeit with a very limited number of physical runners on the day. Many other things that we've cancelled. No carnival at the finished area. Just 5 to 6 journalists at the finished area, apart from live TV, which we're talking to Channels TV to do a live broadcast. You guys did a wonderful job with Kaduna. We thought, why not go local and support local businesses, which is the other thing about sports. And this is why I agree strongly with the Honourable Minister for Sport. Life must continue, albeit with all concerns put in place. What sports does to all other aspects of human endeavor is underestimated and should not be underestimated. Sports is good for healthy living. Sports is good for employment. It is the biggest veritable tool of employment. Do you know the amount of people that would suffer if we had said, cancel the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon? But we're not doing that. We're still going to empower a lot of people. Breadwinners will come and win races and make money and go back home. And we're excited about it. Although with a reduced number, the excitement is reduced, but the passion with which we always do this is still very much burning.
You're right. You can never really underestimate the economic impact of events like this. And then that's why cancellation was not in plans, right?
No.
All right, then. I read somewhere that the runners, they will have to wear their face mask at the starting point and run with it for the next 600 to 800 meters. Is that
we've heard the suggestion from even all over the world, but we spoke with medical experts. They are not what we have done.
Okay.
So imagine a start that used to have 40,000 people, having just 300 people. You can easily achieve social distancing at the start. And the biggest concern for any road race would be obviously the convergence of people at the start. The finish is always,
sparse.
Yes. So what we are doing is and we took the Lagos State Safety Commission, we took federal people there to show how, if you're number one, Cecilia, runner number one, when you get there, you see your number on the ground.
Okay.
There's
a kind of a box or something.
Yes, neatly done, like your lane.
Okay.
Number two, then number one. Then number two will be space from you. Number three will be space from you, all the way back for 300. And we felt comfortable that with that, we would have been able to create that social distance at the start. At the finish, yes, we'll give mask as you cross the line.
But how many minutes after? Because, they're still trying to catch their breath and all that. Do you just give them the mask immediately or some few minutes after?
The choice will be yours. By the way, nothing will be touched by any volunteer. Water bottles will not be touched. Once they are on the table, runners will pick at their own discretion at every refreshment point. And when you finish, the mask will be there. At your own time, you pick it up and you mask up because everybody at the finish area will be masked up. And again, like I said, the finish area will be strictly for a very handful of VVIP, maybe 30 people.
Okay.
Journalists, maybe 5. So we're not going to get up to 50 or 60 people at the finish area waiting for runners.
Okay, what about spectators, for instance? Because we saw Kaduna Marathon.
No spectators.
Perfect, because Kaduna, they couldn't avoid that. Just people, although then second wave had not started, so everyone was thinking COVID was gone until, the wave.
Lessons learned. And again, you must understand that the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon is the numero uno race today in Africa. It's one of the first 10 in the world. And things must be done differently and expertly.
Okay, so we're not going to see all that spectators and nobody's going to come out. Roadblocks, which roads should everyone avoid and at that time?
The announcement of the roadblocks will start from next week.
Because we need to know all that.
We'll put on channels as we usually would do.
Okay. Awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for
I want to thank you guys more for always supporting the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon. This year, definitely, we're looking at you guys playing a bigger role by sending it out to thousands of people. That also matters. We want people to stay indoors.
And watch.
We're talking with the Lagos State government to create a curfew between 6 a.m. and 12. Okay, people are saying 10, but 12. So that our race is done. Don't come on the streets. You'll see it on TV. We are going to stream it across blogs all over the country and around the world. And I assure you, to get to homes, eyeballs will be very, very massive.
Okay, we can't wait for it too.
Cannot wait to see it.
February 13th, again, that's the date for the Lagos City Marathon. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll be back. And, of course, Bada Akintunde Johnson will be joining us to talk about the English Premier League and some of the games that will be going down today. Welcome back. Okay. You guys can talk to us on our Twitter handle. Arsenal, of course, they're back to winning ways, right? After that drab draw that was against Crystal Palace. And right now, it was 3-0 against Newcastle. Yes, they always beat Newcastle and all that. So those 3 goals, but you would say it might just be a springboard for them to try and get their season back. How many times have we said this? We're always saying this. But they also talk to us, the expectations of Lagos City Marathon is coming up February 13th. And also, we'll be talking about the Under-17B tournament, Silver Eaglets. Yes, they finished second in the WAFU B tournament. Yeah, Silver Eaglets.
They go back to golden.
Golden, yeah. So today they're silver for us. I mean, their performance and all that, you happy with it? Yes, they came back, being goes down and everything. Came back, tried to win, but then you have 90 minutes to see if you can do that. They couldn't do it. We'll talk about the Golden Eaglets and NPFL. Aqua United, what's happening? It was a draw. Everyone expected them to actually win that game, but somehow Wiki Tourists went there and they collected points from there, right there in Uyo. And that game, couldn't be seen live. Or maybe we'll see more live games as time goes on
get to that,
with the NPFL.
I have a lot to say about that.
About that, right? All right, Bada Akintunde Johnson joins us now to talk about Arsenal, of course, that's where we're starting off the show this morning with you. Good morning. It's good to have you join us once again.
Morning, Cecilia. Morning, guys.
Great to have you again. All right, I mean, the Gunners and the Magpies, it was always going to be one result because we've seen history. I mean, it's always hard for Arsenal to lose to, Newcastle United.
Aside history, I mean, look at form going into that game yesterday. Newcastle winless in about 8 games or 9 games in all competitions. Arsenal undefeated in 5. So the form was always with Arsenal. And remember, the FA Cup duel between these two just a few days prior, Arsenal, though pushed all the way past the 90-minute mark, still ended up 2-0 winners on the night. So Newcastle needed something different to get anything out of that game. And Steve Bruce did try something different. He made 8 changes, the most by a manager in the Premier League era. 8 changes to the last team that played in the Premier League and lost so shamefully to Sheffield. But did he get a response? I don't think so. I thought the reason the game was goalless in the first half was because Arsenal's decision-making, especially in the final third, wasn't up to scratch. They kept misplacing the final ball. The passes weren't finding the range. And when they did, Aubameyang contrived to miss an open goal.
Yeah.
In the first half, because Newcastle defended expertly or doggedly. He played 4 forward-playing players in midfield. I had worries for him. I knew that once the legs started to tire, you didn't have a player who could graft, who could chase people down, who could harry and hassle people in possession and all those things. In the middle of the park, he had forward-playing players all over, and then was Winston Almiron and the Brazilian Jolinto, out wide. I don't, for the life of me, understand what Steve Bruce was doing with Jolinto wide. He doesn't have pace, doesn't have great energy. He should be playing up top or as one of the 2 strikers. So it was always going to go pear-shaped at some point. And once Arsenal picked up the pace of the game, they were passing quicker, were moving faster in the second half. They went right into it from the blast of the whistle. Lacazette should have scored. Goalkeeper produced a fantastic save to deny him. Arsenal created another opportunity, went close, and then the floodgates opened. Aubameyang scored finally after being put through with a sumptuous pass by Thomas Partey. And then you saw that well-worked second goal, Emil Smith-Rowe combined with Saka again, the youngsters, putting Arsenal 2 up. And then later on, you saw how Saka played Cedric through to lay that assist on for Aubameyang to tap into an empty net. So Newcastle, for me, long story short, never looked like winning that game, never created anything. I can't remember Ben Leno actually even making a save all game. So how do you win when you're not producing, when you're not creating chances, when you're not, making the keeper work at least? And how do you, win if you keep letting in goals? And, at the top end and at the back end of the pitch, Newcastle just do not have enough quality or conviction at this moment in time. And that's the reason why they are losing games. Arsenal, full value for the points, especially in the second half. They stepped it up a few notches, produced.
Okay. I mean, we're having some technical, technical.
Something close to what they did against West Brom. They won 5
Okay, still with us, all right.
Yeah, so Arsenal have won, I was saying, Arsenal have won 5 of the last 6 games. The only draw was against Crystal Palace. They were struggling for goals earlier. They are scoring goals now. And most importantly, they are keeping clean sheets. Arsenal hasn't gone 5 without conceding since, I think, 1998. So they look good at the moment in time. And for the first time in a long while, they're in the first, the top half of the league table. I think they're in the top half now. So I thought it was pretty straightforward last night for Arsenal.
Straightforward win, indeed. For Newcastle, they're 15th on the log, and there's a lot of pressure on the manager, Steve Bruce, right now. Let's go on to today, but a big match for Chelsea. They'll be taking on Leicester, and a lot of pundits are saying Chelsea well placed to be pounced on by the Foxes. How do you see this one playing out tonight?
Oh, well, the Foxes have the big incentive of going top, albeit for a few hours before United play. But you look at how they started the year, and you've got to fancy Leicester. They were fantastic the last time out against Southampton. The way, even with Jamie Vardy misfiring, Harvey Barnes, James Maddison, those guys are ticking. They're playing good football. Ndidi's back to his element, snapping at everything in sight, winning balls back, initiating attacks. They have Soyuncu back in defense now. But before then, Wesley Fofana has been phenomenal alongside Johnny Evans, Kasper Schmeichel rather. Still comes up with some of those big saves in games. So Leicester look to me like that team that can beat this almost
Chelsea.
out of sorts Chelsea team. They didn't impress me against Fulham. I thought Fulham were the better team, to be honest, and had Cavallero put away a chance that a glaring opportunity he had in the first half. It would have been a different complexion to the game. Mason Mount consistently being the one asking the questions when you have 200 million worth of attacking talent that is misfiring. Timo Werner is not doing it. Kai Havertz is not doing it. The players who earlier on in the season were playing well are no longer finding their range or their form. And most crucially, I think missing N'Golo Kante is going to count a lot against Chelsea, because Jorginho, for instance, was overrun by Fulham. He had a stinker against Fulham. And if you're getting overrun by Fulham, what chance do you stand against Leicester's attacking machinery? You see how Leicester plays their football now. They have Yuri Tielemans sitting side by side with Ndidi. So as much as Ndidi can break up play, they have a creative talent right beside him who can initiate attacks, who can pick his head up and pick those 30, 40-yard passes and play people in behind. And, that's the risk that Chelsea is going to run, because in the last 6 league games, I think they've only won one. If they must challenge for a top 4 place, Chelsea need to start winning games again. They got a lucky win against Fulham. They want to kick on from there. So the dilemma they'll be in is, do you go to the King Power and chase the game from the off, or do you sit back and let Leicester dictate the pace and pick them apart with the pace of the players they've got going forward? I don't think Christian Pulisic plays this one. I think he's injured, but they've got Callum Hudson-Odoi coming back, and I think he's deserved a start because he's been very bright for Chelsea every time he's come off the bench. But again, in attack, do they go with Giroud? Do they go with Tammy Abraham? Do they stick Timo Werner, who seems to be misfiring out wide down the middle, where he played in Germany and excelled, and plays for the German national team, it must be said. So those are the questions that Lampard will need to ask, but that in itself, to answer rather, and that in itself is symptomatic of a team that is struggling at the moment. And that's not something that you can say of their opponents, Leicester, who seem settled, who seem to be, winning games almost with relative ease these days. They look really, really good, and they've got to be the favourites going into this one. But Chelsea, of course, they have the quality. And on their day, playing away from home, maybe the pressures are a little bit off them. They can maybe, who knows, allow Leicester do the playing and then, try to hit them. I think Reece James is also back, and that's some phenomenal attacking talent. He can go up and down. Most crucially for me, they need the pace and energy of that young man to deal with the threat of Harvey Barnes, who's been one of the best players since the turn of the year, in my own opinion, playing for Leicester City. So it's a big game, big game with a lot riding on it. Top 4 ambitions for Chelsea, top of the table ambitions for Leicester, and some weird facts I came across earlier today. Brendan Rodgers still hasn't beaten Chelsea, as a manager, and that's strange, So he has maybe his best opportunity going into this game as Leicester is in form and his team is playing the better football.
Yes, for Chelsea, they're yet to beat a top 8 side in the Premier League this season. 3 draws and 3 losses. So they have their work cut out, definitely, against the Foxes tonight. Before we go on a break, but are you still going to be with us? A quick one on West Ham and West Brom. West Brom, fantastic win at Wolves the last time out.
Well, you see, football is a very funny game. Sam Allardyce took an out-of-sorts West Brom into that derby against Wolves, having not lost 8 previous matches in his career as a manager to Wolves. And one would have thought, oh, finally, he's going to lose. But what did he do? Somehow he found a way to get West Brom to beat Wolves. Nobody would have seen that coming because West Brom were clearly the worst team in the league. But they scored 3 goals, they won, and they looked, quite unlike the West Brom that we're seeing in recent weeks. So against West Ham, a different proposition. West Ham, the thing that I like about David Moyes' team this season is that they can mix it up. They can play football in spells during games, and they can go very direct. Use the power of Mikel Antonio, who's back now and who scored the winner in the last game.
Kindly hold your thoughts. Apologies. We need to go for this break. When we come back, we'll let you conclude your thoughts. Join us again. You're welcome back to Channel Sport this morning. Bada Kitune Johnson still with us. Bada, let's let you wrap up your thoughts on tonight's game between West Ham and West Brom.
Yeah, so I was saying that what really, really pleases me about David Moyes' team, West Ham that is their ability to mix and match their approach to football, or the ability to vary their style of play with players like Ben Rami. They've got players who are very, very technically gifted, who can make it tick and who can string those passes and get them into the third the final third of play, playing really, really good football. But sometimes when they require the long ball, they have players like Yarmolenko, Mikel Antonio, Souček, who are big physical specimen. Who can provide that aerial threat sometimes to get them the goals, and you can see how well they are doing. I think they are 3 points clear of Arsenal. They have 29 or 30 points already this season, and that's not something that you would say of West Ham regularly. You'd have thought they'd be fighting relegation, but with the kind of start that they've had, they have a realistic opportunity of maybe finishing the European places if we can keep it up in the second half of the season. So West Ham, West Brom looks to me like another 3 points for West Ham. I don't see how West Brom is going to get anything out of that game because West Ham seem to have made a habit of beating those smaller teams this season, and they're in a very rich vein of form, and I can't look past them when it comes to who wins this particular game of football.
Okay, all right. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, tonight,
tonight. Before we go, before I let you go, quickly, a new chapter for Mesut Ozil, now Fenerbahce player.
Well, I'm personally a big fan of Mesut, and my heart how the last 4 years at Arsenal went. But I mean, that doesn't take away anything from his achievements in the red and white of Arsenal. He came into the team at a time when Arsenal had gone 10 years without a trophy. And himself, Alexis Sanchez and the likes, Giroud, helped to turn that around, won a couple FA Cups. And I think Mesut, maybe with the right attitude, with the right hunger, with the right appetite, would have gone down as one of Arsenal's legends. And it wouldn't have ended in this way. But a lot of off-field incidences also had, their role to play in how badly things turned out eventually. His last few months at Arsenal, he didn't even get a game. So, but I think cancelling the rest of the contract, and I thought cancelling the rest of the contract and finding a resolution before the expiration of the contract was best for both parties. And Mesut can go over to Fenerbahce in Turkey, where he's got his roots, it must be said. To pick up his career again, and maybe he can play out the last few years of his career, leaving football fans with positive memories, because I don't think he had a lot of that in the final 2-3 years at Arsenal.
Yeah. All right. I imagine the likes of Papi Cisse and Valencia will be looking forward to playing with one of the greatest playmakers of his generation. But many thanks for joining us on the show. Appreciate it big time. Hopefully we can do this again next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, then that's Bada Akitele Johnson with a comprehensive review and preview of the Premier League games. Talking about league football, Cecilia, Aqua United, Wiki Tourist.
Yeah, before we do that, let's quickly talk about the silver eaglets for today, right? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's quickly talk about.
What is there to say other than they tried?
Let's see confirmation of that result. It ended 3-2.
Yeah.
The Golden Eaglet tried as much as possible to come back, but they just couldn't.
Cecilia, if you didn't watch the game and you're just seeing the scoreline, you think, wow, very competitive game. Nah, that's not a panda. It was 3-0 until the 90th minute. Obviously, the baby elephants took the foot off the pedal, and Nigeria got 2 late goals through Ahmed Abdullahi, but it was a little too late. Close but no cigar, and the Golden Eaglets are coming back as Silver Eaglets from Lome, Togo. But still, congratulations to them. They've qualified for the Under-17 AFCON, which was the ultimate target.
Yeah, which was the ultimate target. And, of course, for these boys, they will be really, really excited that they didn't go and come back empty-handed. Some people actually said that Côte d'Ivoire did the Eaglets a favor by letting them get at least to the final.
They did.
But then they can't, you can't do the favor twice. 3-0 down. But I think I love the fighting spirit in them, that they did not just put their heads down, that they were 3-0 down, but somehow they had to come back and try as much as possible to get a win. But too little, too late for the Eaglets. Okay, let's leave the Eaglets now and talk about Aqua United. What is happening to the club? When pre-season, they were one of the most prepared team. They were ready and thinking, okay, this is the time to ensure that, okay, all the investment in the club will pay up this season. But somehow they lost. It was a draw. Let's see confirmation of that result against Wiki Torres. That's why Unfamudo is back in the Freke and all these guys. When you see the squad of Aqua United, you'll be wondering, how come these guys are not winning game, beating teams? That's what you expect. But somehow it just... we just say it wasn't meant to be. The Freke was the one who gave them the early goal, and of course, Wiki Torres equalized, and it ended 1-4.
No, good result, not at all. Slow start to the season for Aqua United, and that game was supposed to be shown. Logistic reasons meant we couldn't see the game. Hopefully, the LMC sorts out all of those before the next round of matches. There you go, 1-1. Before we go to the papers, Cecilia, loads of tweets. I'll try to take as many as possible, starting with Noble Flyer. You're saying you do not see Chelsea winning today. Leicester will win by at least 3-1. That's very interesting. Dr. Kenneth, we have your message as well. You say you thought Arsenal did incredibly well against Newcastle. You're also happy to see Aubameyang overcome his dry spell. Before yesterday, he scored just 1 in 9, got 2 goals against the Magpies. Happy days indeed.
Community Watch says our Eaglets did their best and sincerely they fought hard. That's the spirit of Niger. They should come back home and prepare pretty well. Beef up areas that needs to be beefed up and throw out sentiments and the Nigerian factor of payment before call-up. Okay, I don't know what he's talking about there.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
Marvel says Bukayo Saka is a gem.
Absolute gem.
Okay. Bosun says, as much as I rooted for the Eaglets to win, emphasis should be placed more on the developmental aspects at this level, which should translate majority of them to the under-20s. That's what we're always preaching.
Chiemela, we got your message as well, so thumbs up to you for watching the show as well. Cecilia, let's look at the papers.
Papers quickly. You have Igalo here. Igalo won Super Eagles return and targets another AFCON World Cup. That's a Sporting Sun. That's what we are talking about, Sporting Sun. And PSG confirms they're actually chasing Lionel Messi. Okay.
Okay. Leonardo's come out to say that. It's very interesting.
And also another one, you have Mourinho losing patience with Gareth Bale.
Interesting.
Okay, interesting, interesting, because I think it's coming.
Let's go to Sporting Life, AFCON 2022 qualifiers against the Republic of Benin and Lesotho. Raw praise for Osimhen and Boguma's recovery. Those 2 players should be very key in that game. In those games for Nigeria, Hurricane is talking, says Mourinho doesn't tell us to sit back. It's contrary to what the pundits have been saying after Tottenham let slip multiple 1-goal leads. That's the captain or the vice-captain of the team saying, no, that's not the instruction of the coach. Messi could face 12-match ban as well, too. That's on the back of getting sent off in Super Cup against Atletico.
That aggressive display. That
12 matches is a lot.
12 matches is a lot. No, he won't get that. Okay, the last one for today is Complete Sport. And Complete Sport here, West Brom game, Ajayi set sights on more goal-scoring success. He can, because we're racing for him in that game. And Leicester, Chelsea, here just 6 first goal versus Chelsea, and did it gone for 130th Premier League game. The contrast between 2 guys, these 2 guys is actually massive. Agents offers Giroud to Real Madrid for £5 million. Okay. Chelsea wants to use all their money to get Haaland. We'll see if they can do that. All right, I will have to leave the studio now.
We have to go.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Have a great day.
I am Taya Salam. Enjoy the rest of your day.